meeting for January 5th. We will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to begin this meeting acknowledging that this event takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. Do we have any public announcements?
Commissioner Slotnick, I'll just make a quick announcement about closed captioning, if that's
Please.
okay. Hi, everyone. If you're joining us virtually today, I'm just going to put up on the screen instructions for turning on closed captioning. If you're joining us in the room, there will be closed captioning at the bottom of all of your screens, all of the screens in the room during the meeting. And we also have assistive listening devices available. So if you would like one of those, please come and find me. We ask that all speakers today, please remember to speak slowly and clearly during the meeting. This helps with the accuracy of the closed captioning. And then one more quick reminder, during public comment opportunities throughout the meeting, if you're attending virtually, we ask that you use the raise hand feature in Teams. And if you're calling in on the phone, you can use *5 on your keypad to raise your hand. And if there's any other questions, you can come find me during the meeting. Thanks.
Okay. Any public comment on items not on the agenda? Sir, please approach the podium. And you gotta let us know who you are too.
My name is Bruce Baxter. My wife Janice and I are going to ask the county commissioners to hear a petition, one typed page, and we will be asking you to vote on this. We are trying to set up a small single wide mobile home unit, rental unit, on a 3/4 acre lot in Missoula County. We, the landowners, will continue to occupy the other house on the property. Mobile homes are moved around and parked all over Missoula County regularly with no permits required. The zoning department is saying that a small mobile home is a subdivision and that a zoning compliance permit, a building permit, and a subdivision review are required. They are claiming we have 2 mobile homes on one property. Our only other house on this property is a manufactured home. It is classified by Montana Department of Revenue, DOR, cadastral, as a manufactured home, and I have a copy of the property record card here, which says that. Zoning says they follow the guidelines of Montana DOR. Montana DOR clearly states the classification of manufactured home does not include mobile homes, and I have a copy of that Montana code here. Missoula County zoning is not following DOR's codes. Missoula County codes define a mobile home as a factory-built structure made so as to be readily movable as a unit and made on its own running gear, designed to be used as a dwelling unit without a permanent foundation. I have a copy of Missoula County subdivision regulations here that I'm quoting from. DOR defines running gear as the axles, tires, wheels, and hitch used to transport a mobile home. Our original house never had its own running gear, was never made so as to be readily movable. We had to hire a house mover and rent dollies, short sections of frame with axles, wheels, and tires, and rent a hitch to have our house moved onto the property. The dollies and hitch then went back to the rental agency. Our original house never was a mobile home. Zoning is not following DOR's code's definition of manufactured home, definition of running gear, or Missoula County's definition of a mobile home. Zoning's opinion is in violation of Montana DOR codes and Missoula County codes. It has been Missoula County's position to encourage additional housing sources. Missoula County has put endless roadblocks in front of us to stop us from providing an additional housing unit in Missoula County. As there is only one mobile home on our property does not meet Missoula County's definition of a subdivision, so no permits are required. We are asking for equal protection and application under the law as to as to other mobile home owners. We ask the commissioners to provide the following relief and vote to overrule and state the requirements of a zoning compliance permit, building permit, subdivision review be canceled, our original $100 fee be refunded, and our already approved electrical permit, which was removed, be reissued. We would like to get back to providing another dwelling unit for Missoula County. I can further explain or answer any questions. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Were you attempting to create a second lot?
No,
So just two dwelling units on one chunk of property? You
Yes,
weren't attempting to create two pieces of property?
no, we're setting up a small mobile home on the 3/4 acre lot where we have a lot of room to do it.
Could you provide your statement to us and we can touch bases with
Yeah.
our planning office?
Karen's right here. Yeah, Karen, do you have anything to say on this?
I'd like to see, this is Karen Hughes with Missoula County Planning Development and Sustainability. I would like to see the statement that Mr. Baxter provided. We did provide a letter to Mr. and Mrs. Baxter a while back about the situation and provided several options. It's not really a zoning consideration. It's a question about how mobile home parks are defined in statute and in our local subdivision regulations. So just to make sure that we're on the same page, it would be helpful to see Mr. Baxter's statement.
We could make copies or I could read it to you, whichever you prefer.
We can get it to
The commissioners will give
Karen.
it to me.
Yeah, if that's an extra, can we
It's
have
not
that?
extra. It's not extra, but
Oh, well,
you want that now?
So Violet, if you'd like, I can make
take
a
a picture.
photocopy really
we've
quickly.
got the technology right
We have
here.
staff right here.
We will take a picture of it.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay.
All right, any other public announcements?
Jeff, is your mic on?
It is now.
Thanks.
Good afternoon. This is Jeff Badnock. I am here on behalf of the Missoula League of Women Voters. The Montana State Constitution and Montana State Statute require that every 10 years, the voters of every Montana county and city and town be given the opportunity to vote whether their form of local government will be studied by a commission of its citizens, which will then make recommendations about their findings to the people. That vote will take place in Montana in June of 2024, next year. The drafters of our Montana Constitution encouraged greater involvement by citizens in their state and local governments. This review of local government is one of the ways they enshrined this value in our democratic processes. Voting on this question itself is fairly straightforward. It provides voters with a simple yes or no option. There is no way to predict whether voters will want to undertake local government review or not, but the constitutional intent is for them to have the opportunity to decide. Since this choice comes only once every 10 years, it is among the rarest things voters are asked to consider. Who can remember how Missoulians voted on this question in decades past? Consequently, very few people are aware of or understand the implications of this vote. Consider how many people have become new voters since we last considered this question in 2014. Consider too how many people have moved to Missoula County and Montana in the last 10 years. They all came from places where this vote does not ever occur. The Missoula League of Women Voters will be undertaking a public education program over the next year or so to inform the people of Missoula and Missoula County about this upcoming vote. We will talk about the origins of this question, where it appears in the Montana Constitution and state statute, as well as the history of local government review in our city and county. To be clear, The Missoula League of Women Voters does not have a position as to whether Missoula voters should cast their vote one way or another to study local government. Instead, the league views this as an education and information sharing on topic that has no obvious constituency, but for which the league is particularly suited. It is our hope that through education and conversation over the next year or so, Missoula voters will be able to make an informed decision when they vote on this question in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public? Yes, sir. It's a big day for public comment.
My name's Dave Everingham.
Hey, Dave.
How you guys doing? First of all, I'd like to say thanks a lot to the commissioners. You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks.
We'll just keep you in there for quite a while. I appreciate all the quick response and everything. I want to ask you questions. Today's subject is parks. Missoula has 550 acres of parkland, 22 miles of commuter trails, 4,700 acres of conservation land, and 26,000 park and boulevard trees. They counted them during COVID. And 91 parks, nothing else to do. I love all the parks and trails. Originally, Marshall Park was needing $1 million for the 160-acre bottom half of the mountain. Now Parks and Rec want to buy 160 more acres up there, plus $1 million for construction. The price keeps going up, $3 million. Marshall Park is 98% too steep for anything but professional World Cup bike race course that it is. Only 2% of the mountain at the bottom is semi-flat. The race course caters to professional grade mountain bikers with highly specialized equipment ranging from $5,000 to $10,000 bikes. The upper half of the mountain is downhill mountain bike specific. I have mountain biked and ridden bikes most of my life. These trails are all too aggressive and dangerous for me. Parks and Rec doubled their special assessment on my tax bill from $180 to $340 a year. Almost a 100% increase. We bought in Cornerstone in 2006 because special assessments were only $74 a year. This was a sneaky way to raise my taxes. In winter, backcountry skiers use Marshall. This is also a very specialized and expensive sport. $2,000 to $5,000 to equip yourself. Two very small user groups with enough money are using Marshall. Why do we have to pay Five Valley Land Trust for another 160 acres when it is already in conservation easement? Marshall Mountain is a dilapidated old ski area. Not only will the chairlift have to be demolished, there's a huge amount of snowmaking equipment that needs to be removed, mostly underground, and the old lodge. Marshall is 9 miles from the fairgrounds and 20 minutes away. That is too much driving for me when I go out in my backyard for open space. The fire evacuation has never come up through any of this. Marshall Canyon is a box canyon. There's no way out of there. If there is a wildfire at the bottom, then no way in. Before we spend $3 million on a rich person's playground, we need to put that money into our failing footbridges that Parks and Rec manages. This park is mountain bike specific. That is why there are no dogs allowed. Bikers going 40 miles an hour don't mix very well with dogs and hikers. Let's spend our taxes money more wisely and fix the footbridges. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
I didn't realize we were involved with the county with that, but we are.
Any other public comment? All right, we have, well, can I do a public comment? You good with that? Okay. For the last year, Juanita sat here. It isn't that we just switched chairs. I showed up on time. We got to the right chairs. We do this wonderful practice on the Board of County Commissioners that we change chairs annually. We're going to talk about this, right? But that's why I'm sitting here right now. It's 2023 is my, or 2023 is my turn. Okay, we'll move on. As riveting as that was. The current claims list. Claims received as of December 7th, 2022 to December 27th, 2022 by the Commissioner's Office. Total $5,897,127.57. We have, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 public hearings. So here we go. The first one is a resolution appointing the 2023 Commission Chair, our own Chris Lounsbury.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Chris Lounsbury, the Chief Administrative Officer for Missoula County. So we have a series of annual resolutions that the Commission needs to pass in order to conduct business each calendar year. So I'm going to walk you through each one of those and ask you to have a quick public hearing and take any public comment and then pass those resolutions. So the first one, as Josh mentioned, is that the Commission is required to appoint a presiding officer, which in Missoula County we call the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. So what you have today is a resolution that would appoint Commissioner Slotnick as the chair, but you may make a motion that uses a different name. So that is not predetermined at this point until we know for sure that that's the way the vote goes. And so with that, I would ask you to take any public comment and then consider that resolution.
Do we have any public comment on this resolution?
Looks like a power grab to me. So
I got the chair.
I would move that we adopt a resolution appointing Josh Slotnick, Chair of the Missoula County Board of County Commissioners for calendar year 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Thanks. I hope to do this with as much grace as you did, Juan, and as you always act with Dave. Thanks.
I have no concerns.
So the second yearly resolution is to establish the location for posting of public notices. So Missoula County is required to post a physical copy of any meeting notices, and we do that at the County Administrative Building at 199 West Pine Street, just inside the doors as people enter the building on what would be the east side of the entryway. It is our intention to continue to use that as the primary posting location, again designating 199 West Pine, the County Administrative Building, as the place that we post the physical notice. Of course, your schedule and all of these meetings are available on the Missoula County website for folks to access electronically as well.
We'll take this one on.
So you just
It's
need
the
to
resolution.
take public comment and then.
Oh,
and then
thank
vote.
you.
Sorry.
Any comment on whether or not we should post these notices in 199 West Pine and electronically?
I move that we post these notices in one night. I was stumbling over the east or north, but.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. The third one of these is that it's required that you set the dates and times of your public meetings, which we're at today. So under the Montana Code, we need to make sure that the public is notified of those. And so Missoula County would like to continue the historic practice of holding your administrative public meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays of each week, and your public hearing meeting, which is what we are in today, on the first, second, and fourth Thursday of each month. You have standing department meetings, all of which are posted on your commissioner calendar and are open to the public, but there are no action items considered during those department meetings. And so unless you would like to see a change, I would ask that you take public comment and then consider adopting this resolution.
Any public comment on this resolution?
I move that we adopt the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
So tying right in with the dates that you'll have them, this is a request for you to hold a public hearing and pass a resolution specifying the office hours that offices overseen by elected officials must be open and available to the public. And so that is also set by statute, but you are required to have a resolution locally as well in case there is a deviation from that. And so Missoula County has historically set the office hours for all of our offices as Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. to be available to the public. This year, we are adding a provision that would allow for, in certain specific circumstances, that during an emergency or to meet the needs of a department, that the elected officials would be able to deviate from the Monday through Friday hours with public notice. We have that in place for two different reasons. Previously, we have had to do that under the COVID-19 emergency pandemic that had occurred, but you had an emergency order in place that allowed that deviation during this time, and this just provides continued flexibility as we go through some of that. In addition to that, it helps to address departments to address when there are staffing shortages. So I would ask that you hold a public hearing, take public comment, and then consider this resolution.
Any public comment on this? Oh, we got to open a hearing. Yeah, let's open the hearing. You guys should do that. You have to do that. Okay, we'll open the hearing on this critical issue. Seeing no public comment, we will move on to the next thing. Continues to be the Chris Lounsbury Show.
I move that we adopt the resolution.
Second, sorry, I was reading the next one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So are we closing then
Yes. So you.
so it was open, but when, okay.
And closed, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Wow.
Not
That's great.
holding it open, just open for that period. So the final yearly resolution, and I still have more after this, but the final one we have to do yearly is a resolution setting the daily rate for credit for incarceration for 2023. And this is based on the actual cost to house an inmate at the Missoula County Detention Facility and provides credit against fines and other costs related to incarceration if the person is released from custody or is convicted for the crime that they've been held on. This resolution sets the daily incarceration rate at $141 per day for 2023 based on 2022 costs.
Any comment on this?
I move to adopt the resolution setting the daily rate for credit for incarceration for 2023 at $141 per day.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. So this is not a yearly resolution. This is a one-time request for a resolution. So as you may be aware, the commissioners keep what are known as the Commissioner Journals, and that is where all of the meeting minutes from both your administrative public meetings and your public hearing meetings, as well as notes from other meetings, resolutions, and correspondences occur so that they are available to the public. Missoula County staff is asking for the commissioners to move to a new system, and that system would be very similar to what you see in other legislative processes, both at the city of Missoula and at the state, and that would be to provide an electronic version of it as opposed to a written transcription. That electronic version would include a timestamp for each of the items that it's taken up during public meeting, the actual video recording of that meeting, and what you see on the screen if you're participating remotely, or what you see in the room on the screens here as the transcription, which is occurring on the screen in live time for closed captioning now as the pieces that would go into the commissioners' journals to make up the meeting minutes for each meeting that you have.
We have any public comment on this resolution?
I would move to adopt the resolution to revise the process of recording and making Board of County Commissioner public meeting minutes available to the public.
All in favor?
I second that.
Aye.
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 Thank you, commissioners. I will say that the staff greatly appreciates that. It will help to speed up our ability to get things out to the public, which I think will be greatly appreciated, as well as with the advent of hybrid meetings. This seems like the most efficient way to make things available to the public. And so the final one that I have for you today is you had in December set a public hearing on today's date, January 5th, to consider the combination of two elected official offices, the Clerk of District Court and the County Assessor. Under Montana Code, the Board of County Commissioners can consider from time to time the ability to consolidate offices to improve the efficiency or to address other necessary changes. As the public might be aware, but may not, over the last several years, you've been working diligently to reorganize some of the county's structure, and this is a piece of that process. With the retirement of Shirley Faust, who is our longtime clerk of district court, midterm, you have the opportunity to consider consolidating 2 offices into 1 elected official's position. This would be the public hearing for that, and then you will have a further resolution should you decide to move this forward. And so I would ask you to open the public hearing, take any public comment that might be available related to this consolidation, and then consider the closing of the hearing. And then at a future administrative meeting, you would make a determination whether you wish to consolidate those offices.
Right. We should open the hearing. Any public comment on that?
So can we close it now?
Keep it open.
You could close it now, or you could keep it open until the point when you make the final decision. That would be at the
And final
discretion of the commissioners. That will come before you again, should you consider to move forward at your final public. I don't know if it'll be at the administrative public meeting or at the public hearing, but it would be in the last week of January.
Okay.
Keep it open.
We'll just keep it open till the last week of January then.
Great. Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks.
And with
Thanks,
that,
Paul.
I believe I conclude the resolutions that I had to bring with you today.
Thank
you.
All right, now we get to talk about Jedi.
Good here. Hi, Commissioners. My name is Erica Grindy, preferred pronouns she, her. I am the Chief People and Risk Officer for Missoula County.
How's your microphone?
I think it's good.
Okay.
Do I need to speak up?
Yeah.
I can do that. So before you is a resolution to establish a Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Board. This resolution arises out of a prior resolution that was adopted on September 2nd, 2021, which established the county's commitment to a just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive Missoula County. In support of the commitment, the Missoula County Commissioners agreed to lead efforts to create a Jedi Advisory Board. So here we are. Over the course of 16 plus months, a lot of hard work from a significant number of community members who are dedicated, thoughtful, inquisitive, have put together this resolution that's before you. I can't comment enough how much time and effort has been given from the community and how appreciative I am on behalf of county staff for the time and efforts given to this matter. So the resolution asks that the advisory board be created as a means to provide input to the Missoula County Commission. A similar resolution is going to be considered by City Council on Monday. So the goal is that this advisory board would be a joint board that could collectively advise both local governments. So we're asking the commission to adopt the resolution. Within the resolution, in addition to creating the advisory board, we're also asking that a task force be established to draft bylaws that would guide the work of the advisory board and also provide input on the recruitment and selection of the board members. And I think that's significant for the public to understand that today we'll establish the board. We won't have board members today. We will, however, be asking the commission to appoint 3 members to this bylaws task force. The 3 members that staff is recommending be appointed to the bylaws task force are Willina Oldperson, Regime Seabrook, and Dexter Royce. These individuals have provided a lot of those significant hours in an effort to get us here, and most importantly, have agreed to continue to put in time to put together bylaws. The resolution before you does require that the bylaws be put together within 1 year. These 3 individuals have agreed to that time frame. And of course, we could always come back and if needed, allow for more time. The goal is to get this done in 12 months. And in order to do that, there is a commitment in here from the county to provide resources to this group to make sure that that happens. So with that, I would recommend that the resolution be adopted.
Thanks, Erica.
Thank you.
Anyone like to speak to this?
I want to make sure it's on and with the Darth Vader voice, not blow the mic up. Good afternoon. That is a hard act to follow. I am one of the appointed names that was just read off. My name is Rajeem Seabrook, and thank you for allowing this time, space, and energy to come into fruition around a rapidly excitable project, for lack of a better word. I like everything that was said, aforementioned, prior to me coming up. The only thing I would say is instead of guiding, collaborating. When I hear the word guide, that indicates that someone is lost. And I think that in this day and age in which people are really starting to work together, that it is more of a community collaborative effort, and we work together instead of being guided by and guided for. Because part of that construct is what got us here to begin with. So with that being said, just really looking forward to doing the hard work that is needed and being part of a community collaborative on the city and county level, and ready, willing, and able to answer any questions today, and ready to project for the future tomorrow.
Thanks. And thanks so much for putting your considerable efforts towards this, Regine.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm Rosalind Haley, she, her, hers. I am just wanting to extend my excitement about these three people and just let you know that I've worked alongside them over the last 4 months. They've been supportive, optimistic, and they are strong leaders in the community. And I just want to share my confidence in this group and being able to move these efforts forward. I consider them superheroes in this work, so I'm excited to see them take the leadership on this.
Thanks. And thank you for your work. We've heard nothing but great things.
I see Jamar on.
No way. No way. Where is he?
Right here.
Okay, he's got to turn the video on. That's not real unless you turn the video on, Jamar. Hey! He's even got sweatshirt. Nice to see you, man. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm doing well. I'm just very honored that this is moving forward in Missoula County, and just so thankful for all of you that have put in so much incredible work for the incredible community in Missoula. Looking forward to the continued collaboration.
Great to see and hear
Great
you,
to see
Jamar.
you. Hope all's well with you.
Hi, Jamar.
Thanks. Any other public comment?
Well, I move that we approve and sign the resolution to establish a Justice, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Advisory Board and establish a bylaw task force.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
just
much
a word of thanks.
bringing us to this point.
Thanks to everyone for the hard work that has gotten us to this point today, and look forward to great things down the pike.
Yeah. Thank you. Next, this is just emblematic of the diversity of things we deal with at Missoula County. We're fortunate and privileged to deal with. Elena, would you talk to us about this proposal?
Hi, everyone. Elena Evans, Environmental Health Manager, and I manage our junk vehicle program here in Missoula County. So I just wanted to go back to the presentation that was provided when this hearing was opened on December 15th, and then hand the presentation over to the folks who presented the application. The part that I want to highlight is that this is the continuation of a public hearing to determine whether the proposed facility will significantly affect the quality of life of adjoining landowners and the surrounding community. And as you can see from the diagram on the screen, this is part of a large process that does have timeframes in order to move the facility license forward according to DEQ's rules and regulations. And this is a step where the local governing board, the Board of County Commissioners, can adopt a resolution to either support or deny the license. So that's where we are today. I have these slides available and can answer other questions, some of which were gone over in previous presentations, such as what the health department and the environmental health portion of the health department sees as concerns and how they were addressed in the application, if those are something that either the public or the commission would like to discuss at a later point. But in their own words, I will now hand it over to 406 Modern Recycling. Sorry.
All right. Thank you for having us. I'll get started. So we established our yard in Victor in 2014, and Justin and I are both grads. In this presentation, we'll go over how we're going to address drainage and things like that and shielding. And I think this is going to be a good thing for the community. We've grown from 1 to 9 employees and bringing good things to the Bitterroot Valley, and we want to continue that going forward. So let's roll through this. So here are a few of the issues from the first meeting was explanation of the permit and exactly what we were asking for. Shielding junk vehicles from the public view is the main basis of it. And I've got some, I've tried really hard to draw that out and show how it would kind of look. And then address best and highest use for the area. So the junk vehicle permit, basically if you have any more than 4 junk vehicles on a property, you're required to shield them. We provided those plans. And it's pretty simple. It's not, I mean, with a recycling yard, it's just one of the facets of what we do. And here's what we do with junk vehicles. Customers can either tow in vehicles to us, or we'll go out into the community. We're a licensed tower, so we can go out and pick up these cars. We showed the CETA system. It's on an air pump system, you know, to keep all your vapors and everything in. We put it in a double-lined containers so that we don't have any spills or very minimal risk thereof. And then we pull anything that's of value, like the catalytic converters or aluminum, copper, and then we crush those vehicles and ship them to be processed and recycled. And a lot of times we then turn around and bring new materials back, such as rebar or things like that. So that's kind of our process for the vehicles. So shielding from public view, I've got a few different ways that we can look at this. So I did my best to scale this. On the left side is basically starting at Whippoorwill Drive, and then that front lot that's going to be used in the future, but the lot more to the right where it says Modern Recycling's yard, that's going to be where the cars are going to be and where the recycling center is. And with that berming and the distance from the road to the start of that, you've got about a 20-foot level there that isn't really visible from the road. Plus, as you get trees and shrubs and things that grow up, that'll actually even increase. Typically, a 3 stack of cars is only 15 to 16 feet tall maximum. So in our yard, we usually only double stack anyway, but it's well out of view. And then with that berming in this, as the outside perimeter of the yard, we plan to keep all drainage inside the yard. I've been working with Dan, talking to him about how we need to do that in order for the airport, because that was one of the other concerns, was how we keep waterfowl out of any kind of collection pond since we're so close to the airport. But that's it's pretty doable. You can either net it or we can set up some kind of containment area that's more solid, like put in some underground type storage systems. It's pretty easily accomplished. So let's see. So here you go again. So I just drew this. You can see all the berming, all those orange lines. And I did the lines. I'm not a big fan of lots of arrows and pointing, but I know I don't have a laser pointer. So all those in orange are, that'll be cut into the hillside. So approximately 10 feet. We're still working on final design, but that'll all be cut down into that hillside. And then on the front where the blue is, that's going to be raised up from the other part. So it'll probably come up in the air above normal elevation in there. And then inside the yard, we're thinking probably a 2 to 3 degree slope. But if you looked on the slide back, it's funny, in the back of the yard, that on the right side, that red line, that's about 75 feet. So from the road, you couldn't even see our biggest piece of equipment if it was stuck straight in the air. It's pretty invisible back there. And there's no hard surface visuals. If you put in the trees and you put in some landscaping in there, it'll break that skyline up. So it won't look like there's anything back there, but just a hillside. It'd be kind of pretty visually appealing back there. Excuse me. And then, yeah, we're going to do something with this lower lot at some point, but at this time we don't have firm plans on what we're going to do with it. When we're doing this grading plan, we're trying to keep it in mind so that for future development that we don't, overbuild the back lot and then have nothing that we can use in the front. It's pretty valuable. It's right there on Whippoorwill. And there's lots of good things coming to that area. So we want to be ready in the future. And then here, this is another attempt to show what it would kind of look like from the road. We've got trees in there. The only thing that would be visible that I couldn't figure out in all my talents to lay in a building and fences and get all that in there. So I kind of did that in the bottom because I'm only so good at PowerPoint and Excel. So the only thing that would be visible that's not in that big picture is the building and some fencing where the scale would be. So you can at least see our where we're at from the road. And then I just put in some examples of berming. One is the gravel pit berm it's out there past the Y as you're headed toward the old mill. There, when you make that hard left-hand turn, that's where the county gravel pit is. And this was one of those really cold days we had just a couple weeks ago. So it's definitely snowy and white. And they've got some pretty tall equipment back there that you can't see. They've done a fairly good job of shielding that from the road for whatever purpose. And then the other one is A&T Auto Recycling in East Missoula, where their use of trees to kind of hide their lot. And so there's a little more hard faced. I think ours would be a little more broken up, just so you get that kind of that. I think it would look a little nicer with that broken skyline, so it's not just so stiff and rigid. And the other beauty of the berm is that it's the noise reduction. Y'all were out there. We're not terribly noisy, but there's definitely some noise that comes from the operations we do. But with the berming and the trees, I think we can knock most of that noise out sitting inside that hillside. And then here's the renderings of the building that I couldn't show on the last slide. Couldn't figure out how to get it in there. But this is what we're planning. It's a 40 by 80 building. This is where most of our non-ferrous materials will be received and some of our ferrous stuff. So I think it'll be appealing from the road. It's a nice looking building. And we've got like a 16-foot awning there. So when people pull up, they're under cover and not out in the snow or rain. Be pretty nice. Let's see. And then, we're already zoned ICL. The permit, again, just deals with having one or more vehicles stored. We're thinking about 10 foot of cut, all retention on site. And I've been working with Dan on getting all the things he needs, and we're well on our way there. He's pretty easy to work with. It's going pretty well. So, and then land values and best and highest use. I've got a letter from Katie Ward. She's doing a lot of the real estate work there. on the Doherty Ranch. And then evaluating the neighboring properties and support letters that we've gotten. So here's Katie's letter. She said she's fully in support and thinks that this is a best and final use. I'm not going to go into details. If y'all have copies, if you want to read them. And then neighboring properties. This is AVR. I've got it pointed out where it's at. And I'm not pointing out all the vehicles that are stored on their property to knock them. I mean, that's their business and that's what they do. My point on showing what the area looks like is that with our shielding and the way we plan to do it, I think we'll improve the looks of how this is done and raise the bar. So you've got ag sales with, lots of agricultural equipment stacked all around, pretty industrial looking site as well. You've got Honesty Auto. Their stuff, they're tucked up higher on the hill, so it's a little harder to see already, similar to how we're going to be higher up grade wise. So you can't even hardly see their vehicles in the back. And then we have the old airport museum, all their, I don't know if it's a boneyard or just kind of their storage for the planes they someday wish to restore, but that's behind us. And then even the airport authority's got a bunch of
Can I ask
storage.
a question about that last image? If you wouldn't mind going back. So will there, I think I know the answer to this, but there will be a berm along that edge of the property separating the museum from your property. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So let me just go. Where is that in relation to the Bible church? Bible church would be about up here. So the Bible church is to your west.
Sir, do you want to come in maybe after he's done, you could come on up and ask questions. Thank you.
Yes, and it would be to our west, or plus or minus to the west. So here's the airport authority with some more, just industrial looking ground. Nice thing is we'll have most of ours shielded. What you should be able to see is just the building and the fencing, whereas instead of having it all out front. And then another auto shop there on Whippoorwill. This is our neighbor. I didn't get the map in here, but if you look back, it's in between. I don't have a pointer. Does it matter? It's right in there. Yeah, it's right in there on Whippoorwill. This is in between the airport authority and Honest Auto. And so the terrain allows screening placement to make all the vehicles non-visible from the road. It's an improvement. There's already truck delivery for ag sales. So as far as the amount of trucks and stuff, we're consistent with what else is going on in the area. When we originally purchased this property, it was in Elena's slide of the 17.7. We sold off the stuff that's to the east of Whippoorwill Drive, which was a small sliver of ground. And that allows quite a bit of nice development to go on and access through Whippoorwill. So it actually kind of cleaned up that property so that the property lines are through the road instead of being on both sides with one sliver on one. So, and then, so I think we will in fact increase values. This is a good use for this property. Recycling is a great thing for the community. We're very active in going out and retrieving materials too and beautifying the community at the same time. And then I've got some letters of support here from Honesty Auto. And then I've got one from Donald Perlow. Here's that development that's going on just to the east of us, where they're realigning Grant Creek. And so when they move Grant Creek, Perlow's development here will be able to use that sliver they purchased from us to access. They've already got one road slated to go in there. So I think overall we're helping to clean that area up and make it better use of the property than what was there before. And then this is just a good neighbor letter from Schrock Construction, who's our neighbor in Victor. And so I think with the visually appealing berm, trees and grasses, you won't be able to see our vehicles. You'll just see a nice hillside. We're already in a noisy area and surrounded by other industrial uses. So I think we're a good fit in the area there. We're going to retain all our stormwater on site. And we're asking that we be allowed to continue and get our permits so that we can go forward with our business. And then I just left this in here. This is some idea of what we may do in front of our business. I don't have any firm things on this, but this is one of the ideas. This is kind of where we're thinking we're going. But anyway, I'd leave it at that, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Would you like to, any other comment on this?
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
Good afternoon. My name's Bruce Madsen, Commissioners. I'm an adjacent property owner with about 25 acres. I'd like to see that letter from Katie Ward on highest and best use. I haven't done a lot of research here, but I'm not sure that is the best and highest use of that property. We have one way to go in Missoula as far as development towards Frenchtown, towards the west. We've got the Mullen, the Doherty, this whole community of mixed use that I've read about, residential. And I think we need to have some foresight. When you look around and you talk to the old timers from Missoula, Reserve was supposed to be 4 lanes, north and south. Okay, and I think we all wish that was the case now, but I don't believe that is the best and highest use. I think it devalues the other property owners that are out there. I also believe that if this is approved, the adjacent development that could happen on our property could be similar and not be of better use. I'm not against anybody making money, but I'm not sure that is the location for this. Now, is it covered from above? We've got this nice new airport that's there now too. Would it be an eyesore from the air? I'm not sure. Is there noise? I guess I need to have a few more answers on that. My first thought was, as this whole area gets developed, what is the view going to be to the west when the sun sets? Are we going to be looking through salvage? That is a raised spot there. Okay, from where the development is going to be taking place to the east, where your property is, there is a berm, it is raised. So looking at the sunset to the west, I'm not sure the development, what they'll be looking through at our beautiful sunset to the west. That's my only comments. I mean, we're just starting to get a lot of activity out there. And I think until I've read the letter, I just don't agree with that's the highest and best use of that property. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Madison. I live at 2347 South 3rd Street West, Apartment C. I'm the owner of the entire complex, so it's not a matter of I'm just renting a place here. In fact, I have 36 units total in the city of Missoula. I'd like to get back to that screen a little bit because I'd like to speak to this. And I'm not really up on running that, so young lady. I want the one showing the aircraft and stuff in the back of the property.
The Boneyard?
By the airport museum?
Yeah, the airport museum. Back up a little bit more. I want to show the planes.
There you go.
Okay, can we increase that a little bit? Speak loud enough.
Or Mike, you can carry the mic with you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, you can see the airplanes up here. And it's really kind of a hodgepodge of mess. Okay, and that's probably the way it's gonna stay for a long time to come. The property that we're dealing with is right here. And that's gonna be lowered down. That's gonna be graded down significantly. So it's not gonna really be a view unless you go over the side there to see it. And if they got growies in along there, it'll be almost impossible to see. Here already, and I'm not trying to beat him up, he already has quite a bit of stuff that's parked in along there. In fact, he's encroaching at this point in time. Can you raise this up where we show that lower piece there? Right here, I'm trying to get into this parcel here. Okay, that didn't really quite show it. I'm still trying to get to here.
I don't know if it's just the photo.
Okay, the picture. Well, there's another picture that showed the development down below.
Go to the map. There we go.
Okay, here we go. Okay, this 40-acre piece or so was sold here not too long ago. And this parcel of property that's along the Whipplewell Drive goes clear out here, is these people are purchasing that parcel for ingress and egress on the Whippoorwill. And it really ties into them for what they're gonna do. Our complex is clear up here in this upper area and sunken in with a roadway that comes up through. See the roadway going up here? That's depressed. So all you're gonna really have as a visual sight is this lower area, which they're planning on using in a different way. But back to the airplanes and stuff like that, that's been sitting there for quite a few years. So the claim that this is gonna be detrimental to the rest of it, I disagree with that fully. As far as noise goes, we're not gonna drown out those jets, ever. And that's gonna increase in traffic over the years. They just completed one building and they're gonna build another building there. So that's an ongoing, growing site. I'm all for it, don't get me wrong. It does create noise. If they're trying to build a church parcel next to an airport, I don't agree. That's a wrong use in a wrong spot. But for salvage, for demoing stuff and hauling the stuff off, we can't compete with the noise whatsoever. So to me, it's a win-win situation. It kind of ties in with what he's doing here and what this man is doing over here on this other side here. This parcel here has been being sold to the people down below. So I don't see where anybody's got any complaints on the thing. And right now, it's just, if you've traveled out there, the site, you just see it kind of goes up. There is a little bit of a depression back up on top, but that's coming down. How many feet? 10 feet. So if you're standing under the property, you'd have to get over there to look down. If you put some growies along there, you'll never see it. As far as noise, competing with the noise, we can't compete with the airport. We know that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Could you go back to that property that you were showing? Pull this up right here. Maybe 2 images ago or 1.
You need to go to the map.
Good driving, Elena.
Yeah, nice job.
Sir, you're gonna have to talk in the microphone, please.
It's just so we can
This
capture
all
the,
gets recorded.
Okay, this is the 25 acres that we own here. So
Move the
what,
cursor to that.
what goes on here?
Okay.
What?
This is all going to be cut. You've got cut going all the way across here and down through here. And then this, obviously, as this property slopes to the east, this side will actually be built up. So you're cut, and then build. So it's depressed in. We in order to get up there, there's about 30 foot of gain. I've got to drop some of that elevation out of there to make a nice way in and out of there anyway for myself. So we're going to bring this all down and then bring trees. I had it in one of those slides. There was trees all around the perimeter. Yes, sir.
So I think as far as those planes are concerned, I mean, we've been sitting on that property for a long time. I think as land values go up, some of these things get cleaned up. And this property gets sold and developed in a higher and a better use. So it's, I mean, I approached the airport 7 years ago because I thought that they would be the logical buyers of it. And I think they made a mistake and they could have purchased the property for a lot less. But the point being is sometimes people sit on raw land for a long period of time before other people see the value in it and the development capability. So I think some of that area will be cleaned up because the development is only going to go that way in Missoula. So I think that I just don't believe it's the highest and best use. So thank you.
My name is Justin Quist. I'm with Modern Recycling as well. I just one of the couple things I wanted to point out was that there's pretty limited light industrial area in Missoula zoned. And so that area is zoned light industrial, and that area that Prolo is developing is also zoned some light industrial and some commercial down in that space as well. And so businesses like ours that are light industrial are going to have to go to those zoning areas because there's nowhere else to go. And since those areas are very limited, you're not going to see I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of, like high-end housing or anything that's going to try to be building in a industrial zoning area. So those businesses have to go somewhere. And so with that limited zoning space, I think you're going to see those. And even if we weren't to build a recycling center, I think you're still going to see industrial type, because we own that land, we have to do something or sell it, or so you're just going to look for some other type option similarly, for that. And as Phil was saying, it's going to be cut into the hillside. So when you look at it from any angle, you're either going to see over the top or you're going to be looking up at it. And it's going to be very hard to see any product in there. And realistically, we're talking about, stockpiling cars is really what the permit is designed for. And that's really not our intent. We want to process and get them out of there as fast as we can, because it's just money for us that we've paid for these things. Sitting in the yard does me zero good. The faster I can send them to market, the better. So thank you.
Thanks.
Is it hard to show the light industrial zone? I don't know if that is accessible. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Dave's got a question.
Well, just a comment
don't
that
try
I
to
think will help set the context, whether or not Elena can pull that up or not is immaterial, because what we're here today to make a decision on is not the highest and best use. That's not what's before us. That's been decided already by land use planning and zoning. What we are here today in contemplating this wrecking facility or a recycling facility is really related to impacts and whether they can be mitigated adequately. So I just wanted to be clear that contrary to what any public comment might have suggested, our decision point today is not determining whether this facility is the highest and best use for the property.
Look at that. zoning.
Thanks, Elena.
Thanks, Elena. You're doing great.
Josh, can I ask you?
Please.
And John, and I don't see Karen Hughes on the line here still, unless she's lurking out there. But my understanding is that this, due to vested rights, this is being considered under the former zoning, not the most recently adopted zoning. Although the current zoning would not preclude this, it would just require. Is it a conditional use review or? John?
I don't know if it's a conditional use or a exception or
Special exception, maybe that's it.
but you're right. I think that the applicant's process was far enough along before July of last year that they'd invested enough money and showed enough progress that Missoula County was willing to recognize that they could proceed under the past zoning.
And the current zoning doesn't preclude what they're doing.
Correct.
Elena?
And for it to get to this point, zoning did have to sign off. So it had to go through that hoop to get to this hearing.
Great. All right, I think unless anybody needs to say anything, I think we got the picture. Does that sound all right to you guys? Feel like there's anything left unsaid? Don't want to cut anybody off, so thank you. You guys have any questions?
Well, I think just to get it on the record, the three of us did travel down to Victor on Monday, on January 3rd, to view the facility that's operated by Modern Recycling in Victor, just to get a sense for what a facility like this looks like and try to picture it in the location adjacent to the airport, because we are sensitive to concerns of how does this impact adversely or not adjoining properties. I'll let my colleagues provide their perspective on that, but what I saw was not just what one might picture a junkyard being. No, it's not that. It's a full-blown recycling facility, and also it's arranged in a way that based on the really good schematics. Thank you for putting together the images of what this might look like, shielded and whatnot. And I feel pretty good that the proposed mitigations and shielding would adequately obscure from any direction the activity going on at the site, based on what we saw in Victor.
Thanks, Dave. So you can go.
Oh, I was just echoing Dave. It's hard to imagine this proposal without actually having gone to see your Victor site. So just really, we really appreciate you making the time to show us that. Because like Dave was saying, you don't understand the CETA system and how clean it is, and how there isn't a drop of fuel on that floor, and how clean all the floors are, and the yard itself. And so just really appreciate you guys taking the time to show us what you had in mind.
Thanks. I just had a couple comments. And you spoke to this well, Mr. Quist. There aren't that many places where this sort of thing can happen, that are zoned light industrial, or where the current zoning doesn't preclude such activity. Second thing that you didn't say, but I'm just going to add on, we need these sorts of businesses, not just for economic activity, but because we have a lot of metal that needs to go somewhere after it's no longer usable. This is an essential type of business. I also have to admit, on our way down to Victor, I was skeptical. I was thinking junkyard. It was not a junkyard. It was a tidy, well-run recycling shop. And the floor was clean to a degree that any shop anywhere would be proud of. So I feel good about this based on the tidiness, cleanliness, orderliness, efficiency that we saw at your shop and at the schematics you put together. If this was visible from the road, I wouldn't like it. This sort of thing no one wants to look at. But looking at a hillside with trees on it on all sides and run inside that space the way you guys run your shop, I feel good about it.
And it's not lost on me the comment as far as, okay, we've been talking a lot about what this looks like from an adjoining property, from a road. What about from the air? And I fly into and out of Missoula a lot, and I fly into and out of a lot of other airports too. And in no cases do I ever make my decision on whether or not I will return to the community based on what I necessarily see out my window at the end of the airport, because there's plenty of industrial uses surrounding airports. And in the case at hand here, on the other end of the airport, out towards the Y, there are literally junkyards and facilities that are, I believe, a lot more of a mar to the landscape. They're allowed based on the zoning industrial uses that are permitted there, but they are every bit, I think, as impactful and probably more so than the facility that's going to be planned at this location.
We need to have light industrial spaces, and having them next to places like airports where jets are flying over and where there are other industrial uses seems a good fit.
And Elena, would you be able to comment on water quality and concerns that people had raised earlier?
Yeah, so in some comments through Missoula County Voice and spoken at the previous portion of this public hearing, there were concerns about water quality as well as other environmental concerns, air quality, that sort of thing. And although this is moving through the county under this DEQ license, there are still multiple steps with which Modern Recycling will be engaging with the county, be it the building department or the water quality district, with best management practices, with paving permits and requirements under air quality, and other things such as that. So although we are grateful that those conversations are ongoing with the airport, there are still other steps and other regulations in place, the water quality ordinance and stormwater requirements and things like that, that still need to be reviewed, and that will also consider the use of the space and the potential materials kept in place. And so with those in place, as they are for other industrial uses, other areas that contain a certain amount of chemicals and things like that, the concern from a water quality perspective should be addressed through those BMPs, as well as for other environmental health concerns. Those soils are clay. There is, some pieces like that were considered and weighed within our department first.
Thank you.
Please.
Elena, so just in terms of some of those next steps with DEQ, is it correct to assume that there's opportunity for the public to comment during their review process for the EA that will be produced?
That's a great question. And yes, the next steps with with support from the commission is there is a DEQ site visit. There's an EA that is sent to adjoining landowners, an environmental assessment, as well as local notice. It would go through the Montana Environmental Protection Act processes at that juncture. And then adjoining landowners can submit comments on the environmental assessment, and DEQ reviews that, addresses significant issues, and then the applicant would be able to then respond to deficiencies. So there are still some steps in the process here as well. And then, as stated previously, there are still other permitting and ordinance requirements in place that would have to be met prior to operation.
Okay, so to Mr. Madsen and your concerns, this is not the end of the game here today, so to speak. There are additional opportunities for input as this goes through the Department of Environmental Quality process.
I'm ready for a motion.
Let's do it up.
I move to adopt a resolution in support of a proposed motor vehicle wrecking facility at 4365 Whippoorwill Drive in Missoula.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks
you.
everybody for coming up. For all of you, I realize you could be doing better things with your time today, and really appreciate you came out and spoke your mind.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. You're welcome to come say something to us. Okay,
Okay, again, I'm Bruce Baxter. Am I on the microphone? I'd like to add a couple of comments to my previous public comment. Karen Hughes made a comment about we had some communication about a mobile home park, and I did bring Missoula County subdivision regulation, also definition of a mobile home park. This is just one sentence. A tract of land providing two or more mobile home lots for lease or rent to the general public. We have no intention of providing any lots for lease or rent. Our only plan is to provide one mobile home for rent. She mentioned this is not necessarily a zoner's issue. We have been communicating back and forth for 14 months now between people who call themselves zoners or planners, Missoula County permits and the zoning office. We've actually been held up for 14 months on this project. We would like to get this settled. I would like to ask the commissioners how we're going to move forward with this.
We'll talk to
so
staff.
we'll talk to staff and see if we can move this along.
Okay, I've already talked to lots of staff. We've been getting nowhere.
Well, we
Well,
haven't, so
We have
we'll
not.
give it a
so
shot.
We will talk to them.
Okay,
And we will get back to you.
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely. Thanks, Bruce.
Now we're adjourned.